How the hell did the Water Tribe end up at both ends of the planet with a random offshoot chilling in a swamp? Way back, like 10,000 years back, these people weren't living in ice castles. Their ancestors were straight up vibing on the back of a giant lion turtle in a tropical paradise. But when the lion turtles basically went, "Alright kids, you're on your own now," the Water Tribe had to figure out where to settle. Instead of staying somewhere nice and warm, they packed their bags and moved to the North Pole? Imagine trading palm trees for eternal blizzards. Who does that? Nobody knows for sure, but it forced them to reinvent everything. Clothes, tools, weapons. They basically hit speedrun mode on survival. Over time, they pulled it together, united under strong waterbenders, and built Agnaquel, the big city capital up north. For a while, it was one tribe ruling the Arctic. But sadly, peace didn't last long. People started arguing. Classic. "We hate how you've been running things" drama. The tension kept building up until eventually a group just said, "Forget this. We're out." And they didn't move a little south. Oh no. They rage quit so hard they went all the way to the South Pole. That split became the real fork in the road. North stuck to tradition. South wanted to adapt. And then you've got the wild cards, the Foggy Swamp Tribe. They looked at both poles and went, "Nah, swamp life is for us." Instead of bending ice, they started bending plants and getting all philosophical about cosmic connections. 3 branches, 3 completely different answers to the same question. How do you survive when the world changes around you? Now, all this talk about flexibility and adaptation sounds great in theory, but how do you actually teach a culture of adaptability? The Southern Water Tribe had an answer. You throw teenagers at icebergs and see what happens. Welcome to Ice Dodging, the Southern Water Tribe's coming-of-age ritual that's equal parts brilliant and absolutely terrifying. When a tribe member reaches 14, their father takes them out to sea in a sailboat and basically says, "Okay kid, your turn. Navigate us through these deadly icebergs without getting us killed." The father stays in the boat to observe, but does not help at all. The stakes couldn't be higher. Screw up and you're dead. Succeed and you get a mark on your forehead and cuttlefish paint showing what virtue you demonstrated: wisdom, bravery, or trust. But here's where it gets really interesting. When Sokka missed his right because his dad was off at war sending kids to the slaughter, did they say tough luck? Wait until your dad comes back. Nope. Their uncle improvised and threw Sokka, Katara, and Aang into Earth Kingdom waters full of sharp, deadly rocks instead. When they survived, their uncle declared all 3 successful. The ritual wasn't about icebergs. It was about proving you could adapt under pressure when everything familiar was stripped away. That principle of bend or break shaped everything else in their culture, including how they treated women. The North said women could only learn healing. Combat was off limits. Non-benders stayed home. Female warriors were renegades. Arranged marriages were common, with young women wearing betrothal necklaces carved by future husbands they never even met. The South, meanwhile, said, "We don't have time for that goddamn nonsense." With Fire Nation raids wiping out men left and right, women bent, fought, and became chieftains. Katara wasn't some miraculous exception. She was part of a broader pattern. When survival was on the line, outdated traditions became luxuries they couldn't afford. These cultural differences didn't exist in a vacuum. They created 2 completely incompatible political systems that were designed to clash. The South developed survivalist democracy. Each village had its own chief. Real power lay with the Council of Chieftains and Elders. And unlike the North's patriarchal nonsense, the council had both men and women making collective decisions. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. The North? Hereditary monarchy. The chief ruled by bloodline, commanded the military, and could banish people at will. Imagine living somewhere where your leader could be like, "Yeah, you're banished." Why? Because you sneezed near the koi pond. Technically, all Southern leaders answered to the Northern chief. But here's the kicker. The Northern chief's power in the South was about as effective as a firebender at a pool party. Sure, he could make ceremonial declarations, but the South had veto power. This tension simmered for centuries. The pattern was always the same. Whenever the South faced a crisis, the North would swoop in claiming authority. Whenever things calmed down, the South went back to ignoring them. But the breaking point came when Unalaq sent troops south during the Dark dark spirit crisis. Southerners didn't see rescuers, they saw occupiers, trying to impose northern control under the guise of help. Civil war erupted. In the end, Korra herself declared the South independence, and her dad was elected chief of the entire Southern Water Tribe. The two systems couldn't coexist anymore. Sometimes the only solution is separation. What seemed like a political failure was actually the ultimate expression of Water Tribe adaptability, recognizing that some differences can't be reconciled, only respected from a distance. Now, while other nations see spirits as distant forces, the Water Tribe literally depends on them for survival. And that dependency almost destroyed them. The moon and ocean spirits aren't just mythological figures, they're the source of all their bending. Although I feel like that should be retconned. When Admiral Zhao killed the moon spirit, literally every waterbender in the world lost their powers instantly. That's not spiritual belief, that's existential dependence. They practically have literal gods in their koi pond, and when those gods are threatened, the entire civilization hangs in the balance. The crisis reached its peak when Princess Yue made the ultimate sacrifice. She gave up her life to become the new moon spirit, saving not just the Northern Water Tribe, but every waterbender in the world. It wasn't just heroic, it was the ultimate expression of Water Tribe spirituality, becoming one with the forces that sustain your people. But each branch developed different approaches to the spiritual reality. The North built formal worship, massive spirit oasis, elaborate ceremonies. Their approach honored the spirits through tradition and ritual. The South developed more personal practices. The Glacier Spirits Festival involved fasting, meditation, and communing directly with spirits dancing in the sky. Their approach seems a lot more fun. The Swamp took it to an entirely different level. They see the cosmic connection in everything. We're all connected isn't just philosophy, it's lived spiritual reality. They can sense people across the world through the water that connects all life. 3 tribes, 1 spiritual truth, 3 different ways of living it. So here's the thing I always wondered. How does a bunch of people living on giant ice cubes actually survive? Like, you can't exactly farm corn when the ground is permanently frozen. The answer? They turned themselves into absolute trade pros. Furs and hides were their bread and butter. Except to everyone else, they were luxury goods. Water Tribe fur was basically the Canada Goose jacket of the Avatar world. Insanely warm, super durable, and crazy expensive if you wanted it. Then there's the craftsmanship. Those betrothal necklaces we see? That's just level 1. They carve bone tools, art, ivory jewelry, stuff that people in other nations couldn't get enough of. Food was another big one. Their fish jerky and seal oil lasted forever. So by the time it reached the Earth Kingdom, it wasn't just food, it was exotic cuisine. And on top of that, they had healing remedies no one else would have. Medicinal oils, spiritual treatments, healing waters. Basically, their shamans were exporting Arctic wellness before it was trendy. Now, the South were hustlers of the sea. Their ice ships could cut through waters that would wreck anyone else's ships, letting them set up trade routes all over. Meanwhile, the North played the long game. Bigger population, more stability. They didn't just trade, they dominated. They set up permanent routes, secured bulk deals, and straight up controlled markets. So, what defines the Water Tribe? It's not just their snow forts or their killer drip. It's adaptability, spirituality, and family. They're survivors. They're mystics. They're politicians. They're swamp philosophers. From Yue becoming the moon spirit, to Katara fighting for equality, to Korra ushering in a new age. The Water Tribe shows us that culture isn't frozen in ice, it flows like water. And maybe that's why, out of all 4 nations, they're the most relatable. Because just like us, they're trying to balance tradition, change, survival, and identity in a world that never stops moving. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please let me know and I'll do the other 3 cultures. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Heroic Havoc.